Welcome to this explainer. For a lot of us, the MYP Planner has kind of felt like this massive administrative hurdle, right? Like a daunting maze of empty boxes you just got to check off before the term starts. Well, today we're completely reframing it. We're going to look at it as a dynamic, powerful curriculum engine. If you've ever felt totally bogged down by the structural requirements, you're absolutely going to love where this is heading. We're going to dive into the foundational planning process, pulling from the latest guidance like the All MYP Files June 2026, and then explore some incredibly empowering shifts on the horizon that put the creative reins right back in your hands.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the foundation of the MYP, move through Stage 1, Deep Inquiry, Stage 2, Taking Action, and Stage 3, Vital Reflection, before exploring the enhanced MYP shift and seeing exactly how it empowers curriculum designers.
Now, as we get into this, I really want you to keep one central question in mind. Are you just filling out boxes, or are you actually designing an experience? Because shifting from a mindset of pure compliance, just satisfying a coordinator, to one of passionate curriculum design, that changes absolutely everything. It changes how you teach and definitely how your students experience learning in your classroom.
Let's set the baseline here. Looking directly at the comprehensive June 2026 files, this specific standard reminds us what we're building on. It says, teachers use the planning process to collaboratively design, plan, deliver, and document student inquiry. Notice that heavy emphasis on collaboratively design. The planner was never supposed to be some solo paperwork chore you do on a Sunday night. It's a shared blueprint. Just think about the magic of a science teacher and a humanities teacher sitting down together to build an interdisciplinary experience. That collaborative foundation is super important before we even touch on the new flexibility coming our way. So to really master the planner, we gotta understand its backbone. It's a three-part framework: inquiry, action, and reflection. First up is inquiry, where you frame those really deep questions. Then comes action, which is where the rubber meets the road and the actual learning happens. And finally, reflection, where we figure out what worked and, well, what totally missed the mark. Every MYP unit is built firmly on these three non-negotiable pillars.
But here's the reality check. Unit planning is definitely not a strictly linear checklist. Sure, we organize it into stages, but it's actually highly iterative. The planner is a dynamic, living document. You might plan this amazing inquiry, but then you get to the classroom, start taking action, and realize, wait, my kids need something completely different today. So you bounce back and forth, tweaking assessments based on reality. It literally breathes with your classroom. It's absolutely not something you just write once and bury in a desk drawer.
All right, let's dive right into Stage 1, Deep Inquiry. This initial stage is all about establishing the why and the what of your unit before you even think about the how. You're defining the elements of inquiry. You anchor everything by identifying your key and related concepts, mapping them to a global context, and crafting that all-important statement of inquiry. Imagine taking a massive concept like systems and honing it way down into a focused inquiry on how economic systems impact local environments. And crucially, this is where you align your subject group objectives right up with the summative assessment. You want to know exactly how your students are going to prove their understanding by the end of it all.
Moving right along to Stage 2, Taking Action. Okay, quick warning here. We've all stared at a blank box on a unit planner and wondered, what on earth goes here? But evaluators constantly find the content section totally empty. Honestly, this is a massive missed opportunity. This spot right here is exactly where you show your alignment with your school's required local or national curriculum objectives. Whether you're working with state standards or a specific school framework, don't leave this blank. It's where you document the specific disciplinary knowledge you're required to teach. It's literally the feature that makes the MYP work in any educational system globally.
Think of this action phase as your execution toolkit. If Stage 1 was the blueprint, Stage 2 is putting up the walls. You're laying out the disciplinary knowledge and skills, your learning experiences, and teaching strategies. You explicitly outline your formative assessments so you can constantly check the pulse of your students' understanding. And perhaps most importantly, you detail your differentiation strategies. That's what ensures your wildly ambitious inquiry is actually accessible to every single kid in the room, no matter where they're starting from.
Which brings us to Stage 3, Vital Reflection. Look, reflection in the MYP isn't just some quick post-mortem you rush through on the last day of term. It's a robust, ongoing evaluation done before, during, and after teaching.
And through this cycle, your goal should be to evaluate your unit and elevate your practice from just using the planner, like basically doing an okay baseline job, to sharing. Reaching that sharing level means you've crafted a unit so balanced and well thought out that it becomes a gold standard model to inspire your fellow educators.
Okay, now for the really exciting part, the enhanced MYP shift.
So let's zoom out a bit for a huge plot twist. Everything we just talked about is foundational, but the Enhanced MYP Beta Initiative is piloting some major changes to this whole process. As we look at the key changes proposed by the review, we're seeing a massive pivot away from prescriptive, rigid rules. Instead, they're leaning hard into clear, flexible guidance that actually treats teachers like the curriculum designers they are. It's all about allowing incredible customization so you can fit the MYP to your unique school context without feeling like you're breaking the rules.
Let's look at a concrete example, the old rule versus the new flexibility. We're moving away from that super formulaic statement of inquiry that absolutely required a global context towards flexible inquiry questions or statements with way fewer structural rules. This is incredibly liberating. You're no longer forced to artificially shoehorn a global context into your statement if it just doesn't make sense for the content. If a really profound, driving question works better for your unit than a clunky statement, you now have the professional agency to just use the question.
There's also a fantastic terminology update. The old term, service as action, is evolving into community engagement. And frankly, this is way more than just a rebrand. It shifts the focus away from logging obligatory service hours and really supports connecting your unit to authentic opportunities out in the community. It's the difference between, just picking up trash on campus and actually partnering with the city council to solve a real local issue. It just makes the whole action piece so much more authentic. To make sure things stay hyper-relevant to the learners, the Enhanced MYP is introducing 3 new contextual lenses: individual, local, and global. This replaces the sometimes unwieldy reliance on the old global context. It's brilliant because it directly answers that classic student question, why do we even have to learn this? Now, you can explicitly clarify the purpose by framing it at a personal, individual level, then expanding it out to the local community, and finally stretching their understanding to a global scale.
ATL, or Approaches to Learning, is also getting a seriously pragmatic update that's going to save everyone so much time. Instead of those abstract mapping exercises, the new documentation options are super clear. You either document the precise process you're using to explicitly teach a skill, or you outline the specific learning experience where students actually practice it. That's a huge clarity win. Are you teaching them how to research step by step, or are they just practicing a research skill they already have? It's practical and right to the point.
But honestly, this might be the biggest game changer of all. The Enhanced MYP guidance explicitly states, schools are explicitly allowed to design their own unit planners. Wow. That means the old IB template on the Resource Center, not mandatory anymore. You have the total agency to create iterative planners that actually work for your staff. You can tweak the formatting, adjust the flow, and integrate your local requirements directly into a streamlined document. Talk about autonomy.
Let's bring it all together under empowering curriculum designers.
At the end of the day, all of this adds up to a massive shift in your professional identity. The ultimate takeaway from this explainer is that the IB is trusting you. You are no longer just a passive implementer of a rigid framework. You are an empowered, trusted curriculum designer. So as you head into your next collaborative planning meeting, I'm going to leave you with this. Knowing that those rigid boxes are finally making way for real creative agency, how will you use this newfound flexibility to design your next living document? The chance to build something truly extraordinary for your students is entirely in your hands.